I'm Anna,
I'm Jessica.
and this is the Paranoia Pair.
I want that bumper sticker that says the Mothman ate my ass out in the Denny's parking lot.
I see those.
I want one.
Oh, they're so funny. Maybe I'll get one that's a cup or something.
That would be so funny.
That would be great.
Because I want to get a minivan now.
Now you want to get a minivan?
I want a minivan, but I want that sticker on the back of it so it still shows I'm like, I want to say cool because I've never been cool, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I'm not boring.
You're not a soccer mom.
Yeah.
You're just a weird mom.
I feel like a minivan and then a sticker saying Mothman ate my ass would just really show the kind of person I am.
So today our story takes place in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Cue the song Country Road, Take Me Home.
West Virginia.
West Virginia!
Where I belong. Inside my town.
So it's a small city just over the Ohio River, steeped in history and just a touch of mystery.
Ooh,
Mostly
I
known.
like what you did there.
Thank you. Mostly known for its connection to the Legend of the Mothman. He's described as a gray, large, sometimes brown, human-like type creature with massive wings and red glowing eyes.
It's 4.5 hours away from us.
I know, I told you, I said we could probably take like a little trip or something and go see the statue. The first reported sighting of what would become known as the Mothman happened on November 12th, 1966 in Clendenin, West Virginia, and that's about 8 miles southwest of Point Pleasant. A group of grave diggers working in a cemetery spotted something strange. They glanced up from their work, and just as they looked up, something huge soared over their heads. It was a massive figure that was moving rapidly from tree to tree. Just a few days after the gravedigger sighting, over in Point Pleasant, two couples had a close encounter of their own. They were all sitting in a car near the TNT area when they spotted a massive white-winged creature about 6 or 7 feet tall standing right in front of them. Roger Scarberry and Steve Mallet later told the local newspaper that it had these freaky glowing red eyes set wide apart, a wingspan about 10 feet, and seemed to really dislike the car's bright headlights, which is odd considering he's a moth and they're attracted to light.
Maybe it's because he learned his lesson.
Maybe.
Too many. He hurt himself too many times.
They claimed it could fly at insane speeds, maybe even up to 100 miles per hour. And on the ground, it was super awkward and clumsy. And they knew this because the thing had actually chased their car out of town. And after that, it disappeared into a nearby field. So Roger Scarberry admitted that he knew how wild the story would sound, especially in a small Appalachian town in the 1960s. But he was firm that if he had been alone, he wouldn't have said anything. But the fact that all 4 of them saw it, it made him want to speak up about it, because he had other witnesses. At first, reporters were skeptical. In the papers, they called the Mothman a bird and a mysterious creature. They did end up going with Steve Mallet's description of a man with wings, and more sightings were reported in Point Pleasant over the next year, and the Mothman kind of really began to come together during this time. So the TNT area near Point Pleasant is actually really intriguing, but also pretty creepy. Back in World War II, it was a munitions plant where they made TNT and other explosives, and they stored everything in these bunker structures called igloos, and they were scattered all over the place to keep things safe in case of an explosion. That way it wouldn't set off a chain of explosions. So after the war, the area was mostly abandoned, and over time it turned into a nature reserve called McClintic Wildlife Management Area. And in the 1960s, a lot of Mothman sightings happened around these bunkers. Locals started associating the area with the Mothman, and that connection has really stuck with the the backstory and the lore. So on top of that, the TNT area has its own dark history. So years of working with explosives left the site contaminated. So now it's a Superfund site. Basically, that place needs serious environmental cleanup. The TNT area in Point Pleasant has also been linked to UFO sightings. So you've got this mix of wartime history, like creepy wildlife and supernatural happenings, like all packed into this one place. Not to mention the entire state of West Virginia is considered to be part of Appalachia. And if you didn't know, the Appalachian Mountains seem to have this huge amount of paranormal activity. It's like a super hot spot, and I'm going to be doing an episode on it, but I
Also,
haven't started it yet.
the Wrong Turn movies take place in West Virginia.
Never seen Wrong Turn.
Only like the first couple movies are good.
Where can I watch it
They're
at?
probably like Prime. I can't believe you've never seen Wrong Turn. That movie franchise is why I can't go camping. It's about inbreds who like brutally murder
Oh.
people, and then like it's like The Hills Have Eyes.
There were 8 additional sightings in the span of just 3 days. On November 16th, Marcella Bennett, along with her friends Raymond and Kathy Wamsley, visited Ralph Thomas's house near the TNT area in Point Pleasant. As they were leaving, Marcella noticed a giant gray figure with glowing red eyes rising from the ground near their car. In her panic, she dropped her infant daughter and stumbled, but Raymond quickly picked up the baby and helped everyone retreat back into the house. The creature reportedly followed them, looked through the windows before eventually disappearing. Marcella described the Mothman as a big gray thing, bigger than a man with terrible glowing red eyes, and she actually got medical help to cope with the trauma. The same day, 2 firefighters reported a large bird-like creature with red eyes and a wingspan of nearly 10 feet near the TNT area. The creature let out this horrifying screeching sound, and another sighting was reported November 17th in Salem, West Virginia. A man said strange patterns had appeared on his television screen, followed by a mysterious sound just outside his home. He shined a flashlight toward the direction of the noise and saw 2 red eyes that looked like bicycle reflectors looking back at him. And his dog actually ran toward the set of eyes and disappeared, and it was never found. Throughout 1966 and 1967, the Mothman sightings in the area would continue, often near the TNT area. Witnesses all described it as a humanoid figure with glowing red eyes, standing about 7 feet tall with a wingspan of 10 feet. The sightings were followed by reports of strange lights in the sky and other unexplained phenomena. People were extremely terrified in the area to the point where they wouldn't even let the children out for recess because they thought they would get taken by this thing. They were even afraid to leave their house at night.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I also am afraid to leave the house at night, but not because of Mothman. During the wave of the Mothman sightings in 1966 and 7, there are many witnesses that reported being visited by mysterious individuals dressed in black suits. The locals have called them the Men in Black. These Men in Black were described as unsettling. Some people noted their odd behavior, like speaking in a robotic tone or being overly formal and asking strange questions, and they would warn witnesses not to talk about what they had seen, which would make me want to talk about it even more.
I was like, obviously no one listened.
People would see them standing on the side of the street while they went to go to the bank to get cash. A local newspaper reporter even says she got a visit from them telling her not to report these sightings in the paper. They never identified who they were, which raised a lot of concern because who the heck are these people? Some of them believed that these Men in Black were government agents sent to suppress information, and others thought they might be extraterrestrial. Then, on December 15th, 1967, tragedy struck. The Silver Bridge, which connected Point Pleasant to Gallipolis, Ohio, collapsed without warning. A single eye bar near the top of the bridge on the Ohio side had cracked, and then that caused the chain to snap and the bridge fell into pieces, plunging cars and pedestrians into the Ohio River, killing 46 people. Many locals believed that the Mothman sightings were a warning of disaster, and others speculated that the creature was somehow connected to the collapse. Some reported seeing a creature matching the Mothman's description flying back and forth across the bridge days before it had collapsed. Witnesses of the Mothman reported experiencing strange visions or premonitions leading up to the bridge's collapse. They were having these vivid dreams and unsettling feelings of impending doom and disaster. Some people claimed to have seen images of the bridge falling or even heard warnings in their minds before the tragedy occurred. Some even reported receiving cryptic messages or experiencing other paranormal phenomena like poltergeist activity following their sightings. objects moving on their own, lights flickering, and disembodied voices heard in the night.
So you said that that TNT plant needs like a good environmental cleanup because like
Mhm.
maybe they were getting effects of
Maybe.
like maybe it soaked into their water and made everybody crazy and that's why they were seeing things.
During the height of the sightings, a man named John Keel arrived in the area. He was a journalist and a paranormal researcher who was sent to Point Pleasant. He interviewed witnesses, collected reports of Mothman encounters, and explored the UFO sightings, men in black appearances, and other unexplained phenomena in the area. And he actually takes all this information and puts it in his book called The Mothman Prophecies. He also delved into the idea of ultra terrestrials, which are basically entities that exist beyond our understanding of space and time, which he believed might be responsible for the sightings and other paranormal events. Basically, it's like they live in another dimension, but they can like access ours. So while investigating the Mothman sightings and the other paranormal phenomena, he did a report experiencing strange occurrences. Not necessarily in the form of like visions or premonitions, like some of the witnesses. Instead, he says he received cryptic phone calls and messages with weird noises or phrases that did not make any sense. There are many different theories trying to explain the Mothman sightings. First is the mutation theory, and the TNT area plays a big role in this. Some people think that the contamination from the TNT facility might have caused genetic mutations in local wildlife, leading to something as strange as the Mothman. Maybe some giant bird or animal got a toxic makeover and ended up being mistaken as this Mothman creature. Then there's the idea of a government experiment. So, since the TNT area was tied to the military, some people believe that it might have been used for testing new tech or genetic engineering, like perhaps a hybrid creature accidentally escapes, or maybe someone let it out on purpose. Plus, throw in the men in black and its classic government cover up. Many skeptics argue that the Mothman could simply be a large bird, like a sandhill crane or a barn owl. Sandhill cranes, in particular, stand about 4 feet tall, with long wingspans and red markings near their eye features that might look ominous, especially in the night. Similarly, barn owls have reflective eyes that glow red under certain lighting conditions and can appear eerie. If these birds were startled and flying quickly, they might have mistook them for something larger and more supernatural.
To be fair though, with that theory, one time I was walking through the woods by my dad's house and I heard a big whoosh of like wind, and I was like probably 13. And there was a giant, okay, it probably wasn't that big, but a great blue herring.
Mhm.
I thought it was a pterodactyl. Like I ran home and my dad was like, "That's just a herring, Jess." Scared the shit out of me though. So like to be fair, if all the sightings were of young children
Mhm.
seeing
But
those
these are
bird things,
adults,
yeah.
like mostly adults.
Like I was positive I seen a pterodactyl in the woods. I'm just saying.
So, Point Pleasant in the 1960s was a rural area with plenty of woods and abandoned spaces like the TNT area. And many sightings happened at night or in dimly lit conditions, which could easily play tricks on people's eyes. The
Thusi?
media frenzy surrounding the Mothman sightings turned Point Pleasant into a hotspot for cryptid and UFO enthusiasts, paranormal researchers, and just normal curious visitors. And over time, the town really embraced its connection to the legend, and they have an annual Mothman festival. And they even have a museum filled with memorabilia, eyewitness accounts, and artifacts related to the legend. And there's even coffee shops with little Mothman cookies and pizza shops that have a pizza dedicated to the Mothman. Like, you get, like, a pizza, and it looks like there's a little Mothman on it made out of vegetables.
They have that on BuzzFeed,
Mhm, I watched
Unsolved
that too.
Supernatural.
Yeah. And, of course, no trip to Point Pleasant is complete without visiting the famous Mothman statue with abs, majestic wings, and for some reason, a butt crack that seems to attract spare change, like a cryptid wishing well.
I'm so glad you added that.
I think that's, like, the most famous part of the Mothman is his
It's
ass.
why did they put so much like work into sculpting his butt cheeks? No wonder why his wingspan's so big. He's got that badonkadonk to carry around.
I love it though. Fast forward to 2017, and the Legend of the Mothman takes flight again, this time over the busy streets of Chicago, Illinois. Do you say Chicago or do you say Chicago?
Chicago.
I say Chicago.
Chicago?
Chicago.
Chicago.
But if it's why is it spelled ch?
It's like cheese.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that doesn't help. Never mind.
Like cheese.
She's. She's in Chicago. This is why they say English is one of the
hardest languages.
Yeah, because it's so stupid.
Yeah. Like you can have the same word and it's pronounced two different ways.
Yes. Same spelling.
But they mean totally different things.
Read and read.
Yes. And breathe and breath. Yeah. They're spelled too similar.
Yes.
Why? Okay. So over the course of the year, there were dozens of reports of a large winged humanoid creature with glowing red eyes spotted in various parts of the city and surrounding areas. Witnesses described the creature as standing between 6 to 10 feet tall with a wingspan of 10 feet. So again, similar. It was often seen flying through the air, swooping at pedestrians, and even peering into windows.
He's freaky.
One of the most significant sightings occurred on August 21st, 2017, during the solar eclipse, when multiple witnesses reported seeing a flying humanoid in the Lincoln Park area. Another sighting the following day described the creature flying over South Pulaski Road in the Brighton Park neighborhood. The sightings weren't just limited to Chicago, though. Neighboring towns and areas also reported encounters, earning it the nickname Lake Michigan Mothman. The sightings would continue through 2018 as well, multiple sightings taking place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on April 13th. And in August, there were several reports in Gary, Indiana. Some even caught a blurry, shaky video footage of the large winged creature. It was really low quality. Some people are skeptical and called the footage fake, and reports kept rolling in though in the Chicago area in 2019. So in 2020, the Mothman seemed to take a liking to the O'Hare Airport in Chicago. On February 21st, a security guard on night patrol near the airport's perimeter fence encountered a tall, shadowy figure with piercing red eyes. The figure stood motionless before unfurling enormous wings and vanishing into the darkness. May 31st, an airline pilot preparing for flight near O'Hare spotted a massive black creature resembling a humanoid with a wingspan exceeding 10 feet. The sighting shook the pilot. He described it as otherworldly and silent as it glided near the runway. In July, there were multiple reports by airport staff. One in particular was by an air traffic controller. He reported an unidentified flying humanoid near a restricted airspace, and the controller described a winged human-like figure hovering unnervingly close to the control tower. At the Wisconsin State Fair in 2021, two workers cleaning up after a concert by the Christian rock band Skillet claimed to encounter a terrifying winged creature near the main stage. They described it as standing about 7 feet tall with glowing yellow eyes and a massive 12-foot wingspan. The creature reportedly stared at them, creating an overwhelming sense of terror before flapping its wings and disappearing into the night. Honestly, who can resist a good fair corn dog? In 2021, on December 30th, 3 employees working near American Airlines hangar at O'Hare reported seeing 3 large black winged creatures with glowing red eyes. He has a little family now. The creatures reportedly stared at them before opening their massive wings and flying off, accompanied by a screeching sound. The witness claims that the airport officials later required them to delete videos of the event and warned them not to discuss what they had seen.
The airport?
Yeah. But here's where the story gets even stranger, because reports of similar winged creatures don't just stop there. Sightings of humanoid figures with glowing eyes have appeared across the globe, often tied to disasters. So we're going to take a little trip back to 1986 in April to Pripyat, Ukraine, the home of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. So, life in the nearby town was quiet and normal, and workers maintained the reactor and the families going about their routines. But in the days leading up to one of the greatest nuclear disasters in history, something strange started happening. Several workers at the plant reported sightings of a strange bird like creature hovering near the reactor. It wasn't like anything they've seen before, massive in size with wings and glowing red eyes. This ominous figure was dubbed the Black Bird of Chernobyl, but it wasn't just the sight of the creature that unsettled them. Witnesses described an overwhelming sense of dread that accompanied it. That some even claimed they received mysterious phone calls, lines filled with static, strange noises, and eerie sounds and voices that did not make any sense.
I like the idea of Mothman doing prank phone calls.
Yeah. So on April 26th, 1986, the worst case scenario unfolded. Reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl plant exploded, releasing deadly radiation into the atmosphere. The surrounding area was evacuated as the scale of the disaster became clear. But here's where it gets even stranger because the sightings of the blackbird completely stopped after the meltdown and basically disappeared like what it needed to. September 1999 in Moscow, people were struggling with post Soviet life. It was a tense time for the nation, and just before the devastating Russian apartment bombings that shook the country. In the days leading up to the bombings, though, numerous residents of Moscow claimed to see a humanoid creature with wings soaring over the city. Witnesses described it as a tall, shadowy figure with a wingspan that blocked out the streetlights. Its glowing red eyes pierced through the darkness, leaving onlookers stunned and terrified. People reported spotting the creature in various locations, often in the evenings or early mornings, and one report came from a man walking home late at night who claimed the humanoid swooped low over his head and let out otherworldly screeching sound before disappearing into the shadows. So, similar to the Mothman sightings in Point Pleasant and the Blackbird of Chernobyl, many witnesses in Moscow described receiving strange, cryptic phone calls. The calls were reportedly filled with static and often muffled voices that didn't make any sense. Some even claimed the voice issued vague warnings about impending disaster, though there was nothing specific enough to act on. It's just like very vague. Just days after the sightings peaked, a series of explosions rocked Moscow, apartment buildings and killing hundreds of people. The blast first hit Buyansk on the 4th of September and Moscow on September 9th and 13th. Another bombing happened in Volgodsk on the 16th of September. The bombings were a national tragedy, sending shockwaves throughout Russia, and as with the Silver Bridge collapse in Point Pleasant, many began to connect the appearance of the winged creature to the bombings. On March 11th, 2011, um, is a date that is etched in Japan's history. A powerful earthquake struck off the coast of Honshu, triggering a massive tsunami that devastated entire towns and villages. One of the most shocking consequences was the damage to the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, which led to the worst nuclear disaster since Chernobyl. But in the days leading up to this catastrophe, some locals reported seeing something upsetting. In the days before the earthquake and tsunami, eyewitnesses near Fukushima described seeing a dark winged figure with glowing red eyes. The creature was reported near the nuclear plant and in neighboring towns, gliding silently through the sky. Witnesses described it as a humanoid with massive wings that spanned several meters. One person claimed that the creature appeared to be observing the plant from a distance, creating an overwhelming sense of unease. Some accounts described it as eerily stationary, perched atop structures, watching silently. A few even mentioned hearing a strange, low pitched sound and a vibration that accompanied the sightings. Tragedy struck when the earthquake and subsequent tsunami claimed thousands of lives and the nuclear plant suffered catastrophic damage. As reports of radiation leaks spread, the sightings of the winged creature once again stopped. So, whether he's an omen of doom or a misunderstood cryptid just really trying to live his best life, the Mothman really continues to flap his way through history and pop culture. I mean, there's even a Build-A-Bear
Yes.
that's a Mothman, and he even has his own merch.
And he's always sold out.
I feel like we should probably, like, give his PR team a call Like, he has, like, the best PR team of all time. And if I ever see him at my front door, I will be offering him snacks and offering
And a lamp.
snacks, a lamp, and a selfie. What would you do if you ever seen a Mothman?
Probably shit myself. Because that would be scary. If I seen a moth the size of a cat, I mean, I would panic. I like
Oh,
little,
yeah, you have a thing
yeah.
with butterflies and moths.
They can only be so big, and then at that point, I'm panicking. I don't know. I always think that he's more of like the. I see him as more of like not the one that causes the destruction, but like is
Mhm.
the warning of it. They do have a romance book on Mothman.
Do they?
It's I Am in Love with Mothman by Paige Lavoie. And I think we need to add that to our list.
Is it on Kindle?
I don't know. I'll have to look
Fuck.
more. I just wanted to see.
Anyways,
Thanks for listening.
if you enjoyed this episode, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook at Paranoia Pair Pod. And we will see you next Friday.
Stay spooky.